Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As some of you may know, today is the infamous Myth Monday. Now today's topic may have gotten some of you a little bit triggered because the title of this video is Why You Won't Lose Weight on Keto. What? But the internet told me that I can eat whatever I want and as many calories as I want on keto and I will still lose weight no matter what. Is this true? Is keto so magical and revolutionary that calories just cease to exist when it comes to weight loss or weight gain? Let's dig into the facts and find out. Now, before we get into too many details, let's just start with the basics. What is keto? A ketogenic diet basically consists of a high amount of fat, which is usually about 70 or 75%, a moderate amount of protein, about 20%, and very low amounts of carbs, usually only 5% of your diet. Now the protein and fat percentages can vary amongst the diet, but the carbs usually stay around 5% or so. And when done correctly, the body will enter a state of ketosis, which basically means you are burning fat for energy. Now, for those of us on a moderate to high carb diet, which would be most of us, our bodies are going to turn to those carbs as a primary source of energy. It is essentially the depletion of those carbs and the glycogen in the body that causes the shift in primary energy source from carbs to fat, and that shift is what experts say makes the keto diet so incredibly revolutionary. How revolutionary, you ask? Let's look at some of the most popular claims that are made about keto. The first one is that you don't have to count or track your calories while on keto because as long as you are following the fat, protein, and carb percentages set up for you by the diet, you are going to lose weight no matter what. Now the second claim is that you will lose weight faster on the keto diet than any other diet out there. And the third claim is that the keto diet is said to be superior to any low-fat diet and any diet really for that matter, and when it comes to weight loss. This all sounds way too good to be true. Let's find out if it is. Okay, so let's start with some of the basics we know to be true, like the rule of calories in versus calories out. This rule basically states if you're eating more calories than you're expending throughout the day, you're going to gain weight, and the opposite is also true. It is true though that everybody's ability to burn calories is going to be a little bit different, and those differences are going to come from a variety of factors like your BMR or your basal metabolic rate, your activity level, and how well your endocrine system is functioning. However, even though these small differences can exist, the overarching rule of calories in versus calories out applies to everybody. In fact, it's one of the only principles that can claim to have that much authority, but there's just been so much scientific research and evidence on cell respiration and calories as a derived unit of energy that we just can't deny this fact. So that being said, let's do some math. Let's pretend you're about to start your journey on a ketogenic diet. You go and you test out your BMR and you find out that your body burns 1,800 calories a day no matter what. Now, just for the sake of ease, let's pretend that you live a completely sedentary lifestyle and your endocrine system is functioning perfectly. That being said, we're going to assume that your body can only burn those 1,800 calories a day, no more and no less. Now, if you were to follow this rule that you don't have to count any calories on your keto diet, you might have a food diary that looks a little something like this. As you can see from this diary, you stuck to your macro parameters of high fat, moderate protein, and really low carb, and ate about 2,517 calories for the day, which puts you 717 calories over your current BMR. Since we have discovered that calories in versus calories out is backed by scientific evidence and will always reign true, that means that regardless of your macros, a surplus is still a surplus, and if that particular surplus were to occur every single day for the next 30 days, you would gain over 6 pounds in that 1 month span. Now that's a far cry from the fat incinerating machine that you were hoping to be. Now I am not suggesting that you absolutely have to count or track your calories in order to lose weight on this diet. Some people are going to be able to count intuitively and they're still going to come in at a caloric deficit, therefore reaching their goal. But just be honest with yourself. The truth is, if you're trying to lose weight, you kind of have a track record for eating slightly over what your BMR is already. So it would be advisable to use this calorie tracking as a guideline to teach you how much you can eat in a day while still reaching your goals. Then a few weeks later, you can use that guideline as more of muscle memory to sort of eat intuitively and still make sure you're losing weight. Another really popular theory that sort of fueled the keto craze is called the insulin theory of obesity. Now, this theory states that pretty much all obesity stems from a high carb diet, and that's simply because when a large amount of carbs is introduced into the body, there's a major increase in insulin production. Now, that insulin production will lead to more fat storage, which is said to starve the muscles and organs of their energy they need to function, which ultimately leads to people giving into their cravings and then overeating, and all of this just leads to weight gain. Now, because a ketogenic diet is extremely low carb and does not subject you to any of those horrors I just stated, experts say that this gives keto a metabolic advantage. In other words, your body is going to burn more calories by eating this way than on any other diet out there. Now, this is a really hefty claim to make, but the part I like about it is it's really easy to find scientific evidence that will either support or disprove it. In fact, in 2017, there was research done on 28 different studies that were performed in which the participants were each given an equal amount of calories but had a varying amount of carbs and fats in their diets to see if one set of participants would burn more energy than the other. The truth is that only 8 of the 28 studies even showed that any of the low-carb participants had greater energy expenditure than the others, and even further than that, only 4 of those 8 studies were even statistically significant to those experts. Basically, what that all means is that a low-carb diet does not, in fact, offer you a metabolic advantage, and to be honest, varying levels of carbs and fats don't really have a lot of impact on your overall energy expenditure. It's going to be a lot of different factors, and we'll talk about that in a different video. I can hear it now. Some of you are thinking, but what about body fat? And luckily for you, those same scientists that did that research already beat you to the punch. They also took a look at the lowering or hiring of body fat in each of those subjects that participated in the diet, and what they found was that there was absolutely no difference, or at least very minimal difference, between the amount of body fat lost in a participant that had a low-carb diet and a participant that had a high-carb diet. At the end of the day, just know that the insulin theory of obesity may not be totally wrong. It's just a lot less significant than the calories in versus calories out rule when it comes to weight loss or fat loss. As you're watching this video, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I am in no way asserting that the ketogenic diet is an ineffective way to lose weight. I actually think it's very effective when implemented correctly, and I've personally seen a lot of people have a lot of success with it. So now that we know that the keto diet is not necessarily magic, let's take a look at the hard facts as to why it works. For one, if you think about the types of foods that you're eating on this diet, they are really high in fat and protein, which means you'll stay fuller for longer periods throughout the day and be feeling more satisfied when you're done eating. This can lead to less of an urge to eat more or more times throughout the day, which ultimately leads to less calories for the day, leading to weight loss. The other reason is that the low-carb nature of your meals is going to give you more stable blood sugar, and the less swings in blood glucose you have, the less likely you are to give into cravings, and the more likely you are to just eat less calories throughout the day and really stick to your diet. The last thing we'll consider is why some people feel they're losing weight faster on keto than on any other diet. This usually occurs right at the beginning because the body is flushing out a lot of excess water weight. Now, if you read my book, you know the way that carbohydrates are structured, excess water is able to bind to those. Without those carbohydrates, the body is going to flush out a lot of that excess water as waste, and this usually happens within the first few weeks of keto, and people see really big numbers on the scale because of it. Just know that after those first few weeks, the body is going to sort of even out and not be flushing out as much water, so you might not see quite as much weight loss on the scale. Alright, now it's time to answer the ever-probing question. Can you eat as many calories as you want on keto and still lose weight? Unfortunately, no. Today we discovered that the amount of calories you eat does matter, and if you're eating more calories during the day than you're expending in energy, you will gain weight. We also discovered that this particular diet is not necessarily any faster or superior to other diets when it comes to weight loss, and that there is no real metabolic advantage to eating very low carb. What we did discover, however, is that the ketogenic diet does have its advantages and can make weight loss a little bit easier based on the way the diet is structured. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you found this information to be helpful, make sure you hit that like button and leave me any questions you have in the comments below. For all the H.I.N.T VIPs, thanks again for joining us. And if you'd like to become one or you want to read the free book we're giving away, I'm going to go ahead and leave that link down in the bio so you can snag that now. See you guys next time.